everybody. Sorry we're running late today, and the sound was not good earlier. So today we're going to inform you regarding the lamentable things that occurred with the death of, of some Mexicans in the shootings in the U.S., in particular in what has to do with El Paso, Texas. And you're going to be informed regarding this matter by Marcelo Ebrard, Secretary of External Relations or Foreign Relations. And we're going to be informing also regarding the next auction for the Institute for the people, to return to the people that which was stolen. And this will be happening on Sunday next. These are the two matters. And then we'll open up the session for questions and answers. So we ask now Marcelo Ebrard to inform regarding the case. With your permission, Mr. President, hello, good day. As you know already, yesterday the President instructed me to go to El Paso, Texas, and I went. And the information I can give you is that the family got immediate attention by the consulate in El Paso, was Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday in contact with the family that were affected. And unfortunately, we have confirmed the death of 8 persons, 4 women and 4 men, originated in the city of Chihuahua, one of them, 2 from Juarez, 1 from Aguascalientes, and 1 from Torreon. Another from Tiongomera, Chihuahua, and another one from Zacatecas. And finally, Ciudad Juarez. Total of 3 Juarez, 1 from Chihuahua, 1 from Tiongomera, Chihuahua, and 3 out of Aguascalientes, Zacatecas. And injured and still in treatment, we have 6. And we are expecting that from these 6, we have in intensive care or in a situation that's guarded, 3 people. So this was the medical report we got. This in 2 medical centers. And they have let 2 people go already. 1 9-year-old. She's the youngest. And the other one is 60. And yesterday they liberated the bodies of the 8 people that were dead because we were concerned that they would not be able to get the bodies. Sometimes the victims of these acts have to invest money in order to get the bodies. And yesterday they liberated the bodies, and we have the support. 5 will not stay in the city of Juarez, but in different, and 3 funerals took care of it. I had the opportunity to speak personally and tell them the solidarity and love from Mexico for 5 of the people that had. I could only speak with 5. The other 3 I wasn't able to speak to them due to the situation they were in at the moment, because they were receiving the bad news, and they were trying to deal with the bodies of their families. But with 5 I did talk to. Without a doubt, it's one of the worst tragedies that's touched my body and the Mexicans, to lose people in Mexico. We had testimonies that were very impacting from the people that were there. Details that they spoke of a cruelty without end from this person. He went on a day into Walmart on a day that they were having sales, and there was several families. The type with he put on some headphones, like, so he wouldn't hear the cries of the injured, and he entered and he started to shoot over people, 9-year-old or babies or complete families. I am not exaggerating if I tell you this is the worst thing I've ever seen. And the subject, with all intentions to attack the Mexicans, the people with Mexican origin, because that store is a store that is known in our community, that is a very national community, or binational, because they have like there's a proportion of Mexican Americans. So the mayor told them that he was there was a lot of binational, and that he understands that the implications of these things behavior, and he felt very bad about it. That it's a very biracial, binational community, and it's unacceptable and it's inexcusable from any point of view. And yesterday I also reiterated absolutely that the Mexican people were very. I informed also that we will go to the Attorney General of the Republic, all the elements that we've found so far, because they are going to start a investigation that since the beginning of the acts. We say that it's an act of terrorism because it's on the Mexican code is racist, and they're going to speak with the district attorney of diverse communications, because the U.S. proceeds, but it's and terrorism is, you know, the U.S. government is going to be in charge of that, and it's the authorities of the U.S. are going to make decisions on that. But then it will be so we will have, Attorney General will have to give the related complaint, so they're going to have to deal with the international laws regarding that, due to the loss of life of 8 Mexicans in America. So we're asking that the Attorney General of the Mexican government have access to the documentation and evidence, because it's very important to get justice and also to participate and to have the information to support the family of the victims of this terrorist act. We are concerned that other people may be thinking like this, and we want to, and it's very indispensable to participate in the investigation in order to estimate if there's other people that are with this person, and if definitely the manifesto he had was something he wrote or authored. And this we said to the authorities yesterday, and we found that they were disposed to listen, and they gave us the bodies of the 8 people. Of course, the the Attorney General of the Republic will have legal action regarding the homicidal assault rifles. We know that these are very permissive laws in the U.S. We say even in some of the stores they sell these arms, like Walmart, stuff like that. But it's not just that we understand that, but it's our obligation to deal with it in a due way. And we'll have perseverance with this and many other causes that we need to deal with. And that is a central cause, because the loss of life of Mexicans. So in another moment I could give you more information. Today it's something different. Today it's a matter of law. And the last thing I could say is that yesterday we had a lot of interest and care pronouncing and that was communicated by the United States. They called our attention, and it made it very clear that he contained risks. They need to establish that white supremacy is a risk, and that they're convoking it. And of course we subscribe to that. And we hope that political line will continue to advance in the U.S. And last, we want to say that we've established contact with the different countries and communities in the U.S. to establish politic of defense and protection. Defense of what? Well, we have to defend the people, the values, but we also have to do the language, the culture. That would be the purpose of this convening in the next few months. We respect the legal laws. We're not trying to, get involved in their laws. But that's the information we have up to now. And that's now, he'll give the other gentleman a chance to talk. Well, hello, Mr. President. And hello to everyone. And today we're going to let everyone know that the Los Pinos complex, so we're going to present to you the principal characteristics of the auction, where they're going to destine the resources that are gained from the sale of these in this house of Chapultepec that belonged to the Chinese-Mexican man. And as we commented, next Sunday in the 12th in the day, so it's as it's a custom, it'll be done in the Los Pinos Cultural Center, and they're going to be taking forth the auction, so you can see the home. It's valued at 95 million pesos, and it means a mansion. It's a French style in Chapultepec. It's a home that is very luxurious, and it's in 35,000 meters square. It has 4 levels, and it's got a basement. It has a garage, or they used to have a large area, and they had bottles like wine cellar, and there's an area for emergency area. It has an elevator, so there's an electric plant there. There's laundry room, ironing room, playroom, and you can see it there. It's a very luxurious mansion. On the lower level, it has an open area with very beautiful staircases and a beautiful large kitchen with very famous zero Wow, and it's got indoor pool. And, and it has a spa, a sauna, and a dome that allows it to control the temperature. And in that same floor, they also have spa that's devoted to control temperature of the ambient. On the high level, they have the bedrooms. 4 of them have their own balconies that are open, jacuzzi bathroom. On the last level, they have a bathroom and a large entertainment room with a bar for capacity of 200 people, French style, and a terrace that's open onto a balcony. And the floors are made of wood, authentic. And you can see the characteristics of the home. And so we're going to be selling 25 pieces of real estate. And one of them is this home. But they have other. So we have a total of 230 million. But we insist it's going to be about well, because of where the funds are going, they made a module to attend to people that will be seen by the house. It's right outside the house. And we've had people of interest from diverse groups. Some ambassadors have gone to see the house because a few of them want to acquire it to put an embassy there. Another group is the neighbors. Some of the area neighbors have wanted information. And the third is some investors that have shown interest. And as I've commented, the Institute has a model, and we're letting people give additional information regarding the characteristics. And besides that, I believe that the announcement regarding to the where the money is going is what's giving this more importance. So due to the instructions of the president to be punctual to return to the money, the resources are going to be used to the 150 thousand for the Pan American Games. They're going to be getting 20,000 a month. 20,000 a stimulus. That's an unprecedented act to give that much to support the athletes that have high functions. 100 million pesos are going to be destined for the use of that, to give the support wherever, when they get returned, and to comply with that mandate. What's what the Institute is going to be used for, that money, and they're going to expedite it because they want to give that money to the students that are in sports. So 11 or 12 to the day. We want the people to support us. We support that you give us solidarity to support the athletes. Yeah, high functioning athletes. And so they're going to have a new strategy to help as the directions of the President of the Republic. And we're waiting for all the supporters. And you have until the 9th to buy your, it's like a ticket to get in. So you can get them from the SAI and regional offices. And you can also go, you can even go to 7-Elevens and you can get, it pays 100 pesos. It's open, and whoever can do it, can afford it, can go. And so we need a letter of guarantee of seriousness. It's an auction of very high transcendence. Thank you. So now, questions and answers. So we're organized in order to initiate the session of questions and answers. But I'm only going to add that what here was made known regarding this auction, which I believe is important. I want to let them know and encourage investors and businessmen and those that participate in foundations, and especially with social businessmen and civic duties, so that they can participate in this auction. Because this home of this Chinese Mexican is valued at 100 million pesos, but a little less. But that's, and we're going to say the value minimum, the base value, that's the floor price. And in an auction, they usually wind up paying more than that. So in this case, we would like, we have as a goal to reach 150 million for this home. And I want to ask you to participate, businessmen, with civic and social dimensions, because these 150 million pesos are going to be destined to support our athletes that are representing us in Peru in the Pan American Games. And they are doing extraordinary labor and demonstration of turning themselves over wholeheartedly. And they so far have gotten 21 gold medals. And we're doing good in the medals. And this week, the games will end on Sunday, and it's probable that they will need that money when they travel for Pan American Games. So what we obtain from that sale will be for these sportsmen that are 544. All of them will receive 240,000. That's going to be 20,000 a month for 1 year. One given all at one time. No video commissions. It's not going to be administered on a monthly basis, these 20,000 pesos. No. No, upon their return, they will know how to manage their own money. They're they're of age, they're responsible. There's been a bad custom to look at people like they're underaged, and that the government needs to administer or control their good, their whatever corresponds to them. So that's how they create video commissions where government agencies, and at the end they don't give the resources, or they take a cut. Piquete de ojo. That's a taking like a little stab at it. So everything that gets gained from this sale, they're going to give it transfer immediately to these 544 sports people. So the reason of 20,000 pesos for each one, even, and we're going to be giving an additional stimulus those that got medals. They're going to get an additional 40,000 pesos to save, and 35,000 for monthly. So that's going to be above. So that will increase their budget to 150 million, which is what we're calculating that we'll obtain for this home. So I'm calling out to the foundations, the businessmen, to help us out. And that on next Monday, we'll be able to inform you here regarding this matter. How much was obtained, who bought the home, and we're going to give the certificate here of the purchase. And we're going to start to do the, the planning, so that when the sports people come, the next following week, they'll have their money given to them directly. We are also considering or contemplating, but it'll be from another fountain of finance, to support the trainers, because they're very important. And you get the participation of Paralympics, and it'll be the same thing. We'll support them. What we're looking for, to encourage sports and to strengthen their independence for each athlete. Strengthen what they've already been working on. They've come forth due to their efforts, through the efforts of their families, through the effort of supporters, and very little support on the behalf of the government. So now we're going to maintain their independence and their liberty. We'll give them this money this way, so that they won't be dependent, and they can continue, of course, working, training. So what's coming later And in this way, each time, we'll have better results. Not only to support sports of high rendering, but we're also doing an effort to support sports in general, conceiving that sports is like a medicine, like a preventative medicine that we all need to do to prevent diseases. And it is, and we are promoting all efforts, and we give facilities in all the cases in order to encourage sports. And this is a complementary information that I wanted to transmit, basically. Hello, Mr. President. If you would permit me a question for the concierge, for you, him and for you, regarding the matter of El Paso. Have you already sent the diplomatic letter to the U.S., and what was its contents, and was it given to the district attorney? We'll be turning it in today. Of course, we're going to let you know. And we'll have a talk with the district attorney or attorney general. No, we're not going to let you know what's the contents of it at this time. And now for the president, regarding what you were talking about, the initiative for the financing of the athletes. He says everything that we can give directly to the people is more secure. It's more effective. Intermediaries is very damaged. It was brought to ruin, this intermediate, in the neoliberal period. And this, the people have asked me this, and my assessors. But even if my adversaries don't like it, I repeat, the people is wise, or are wise. The people have a certain instinct. They say, don't return us, don't give us our money through intermediaries, because we don't get it. So therefore, one characteristic of the new government is that everything that we can, we will give it to you directly. From the Treasury, from the Federal Treasury to the beneficiary. In order to, because it was atrophied, the government. It was corrupted. It became a bureaucratic. It is not just something I've invented to speak to an elephant that's laying down rheumatoid and with bad habits. It's what it seems like. That's what the government wound up being. That's why I'm asking the people to help me push this elephant. We've stood him up, but he's a slow-moving body, and we have to push him between all of us. But the same thing happened with social, so-called social city organizations of the social type, like even the non-governmental social administrations that were getting resources, funds from the government. That's goes against itself. How can you give? How is it that non-governmental associations depend on the government? They get money from the government, but on top of that, they don't even give accountability. They weren't giving the resources to the people. And even in the best of the cases, they kept the money in, in assessors, directors, um, they used to take trips all over the world. So one characteristic of the new government of the fourth transformation is to give all of it. Another thing is, with the less administration that there is on the part of the government regarding the funds that go to the people, the better. Imagine this. If there's an investigator in CONACYT, like say an academic in the level of investigator because he's doing a doctorate or postdoctorate, and he receives a grant and some other stimulus. So then they say, we're going to correct that. I'm just giving you an example. This is what you get, and here's your stimulus, and then with the stimulus you can buy a computer or some equipment. So they might even give you the brand. And so you can only use the money on this concept or for this type of thing. So I know of cases where investigator might have 2 or 3 computers because that's all he can buy. That's all he can spend his money on. Because that's what the stimulus is for. So what's behind that? Why like that? We're talking about an academic that's a person that's responsible, prepared. Why administer his compensation, his benefits? Why not give him the money cash? Why not incorporate to his grant the stimulus? But this also happens in cases of the government administration. On one side they have the salary, on the other side they have benefits that are for expenses, glasses, uniforms. And who does the administration of that? The government itself. Why higher level officials? Why not? Why not explore the possibility that these benefits should be included in their salary and should just be given to the worker if he's not underage? Because finally, if he uses the money for whatever else he wants, it's his money and it's his right. That's what we're talking about. Like grants to the sports. Why administer it? You give it to him, you let him handle it and help us. The less apparatuses, the better. So what is the practice that used to be emperor? That they used to buy things. So if they solicit something, they so they would just somebody was getting a cut, they would make them buy a certain thing. So then the budget, so really what was going to the worker was reduced. Why not? Let's go resolve these things when it comes to administration. And also think about more about how the people is responsible, or the people are responsible to underline that corruption will not, it doesn't come from the bottom to the top, it comes from the top to the bottom. And this is very true, that they came to believe that it became the part of the culture, corruption became part of the culture of Mexico. That's an error and that's infamy. It's a great lie, because the people were a people of very many values in society. And that's what we need to use to regenerate our public life. So that's the matter. Independent from investigations and suspicions of corruption. For everything, the best is just give it directly to the beneficiary. There's certain things you can't do that with, but if you're going to be making a road that's rural, why don't you let the people make it? It's not that complicated to make a road. In all the road, in all the towns we have engineers, masters, and they leave the budget there, they reactivate their economy. It has a multiplying effect. Of course, the democracy says, I prefer the a democracy that's corrupt, but it's always coming out. They always say that the people are not capable, that they don't have the capacity. So we're going to be turning over like that for this maintenance for schools, directly to the schools, to the societies of the parents, and so where their own children are, so that they can manage the funds, so that the school will be in good conditions. Because if we take the budget through all the government agencies, you won't even be able to buy a can of gas. There won't be enough. And that'll help us a lot to go start ending corruption from the top to the bottom. Because we're going to clean house, and we've started above, but we have to all go helping to clean corruption. So what about health? That he's always saying that he's good, but so they're asking that there's some kind of government agency that's demanding that the president let them know what his conditions are, how much at risk he is, and all that. And they question a lot. That I have hypertension. That's my infirmity. And that's what caused me to have a stroke. But I'm doing very well. I am thankful for science that I'm alive. And I'm perfectly fine. And all those that sustain that I'm ill, they that they would do the run I did this weekend. I visited in 3 days, 4 states. 600 kilometers daily of roads, and not very good roads. So I would like them to try it, see if they would get up early on Monday and continue. Regarding my age, I'm 65 years old, but I feel very strong. And the and age helps. It's a state of it's not really of you have your biology, but if you have good moods, and I'll let you think about do your homework to investigate what age do the governors uh, of the nations of countries that are older, or the greater importance, political importance. He says, according to them, I'm a little boy. I'm a youth. Okay. It has been 5 years since some copper mine in Sonora River. What are you going to say to the people? So he was supposed to be going to go check the contamination. They want to know regarding Rio Sonora. So did they deal with the matter of the spill in Rio Sonora if they came to an agreement? Yes, we're looking for an agreement from the miners with the workers of the mining companies and with the environmentalists. And we're going to make a table of dialogue in order to deal with all those matters. I've already informed, and we're talking with all of them. And soon we will install this table in order to attend to all the matters and to look for an agreement between all of us, because it's required, this reconciliation. We've had agreements, but separately with and we're advancing on that matter, and that's what I can tell you to the citizens of Sonora, that we're working on it with what has to do with the river Sonora, and also with the Cananea and other matters. We're pending monitoring this thing in Guaymas, what has to do with mines that are stopped for a long time, Tasco, and others, and other mines. and we want to come to an agreement in general. And of course, also, we want to, the agreement has to be in respect for the environment and an equilibrium to talk of development that's substantial, not to close the jobs. We need the jobs. We need the companies, but at the same time, we cannot destroy our environment. It's not a simple matter, but we can come to an agreement. This we consider is better than confrontation. And if we're going to spend our life fighting and not resolving the problems, there's lots of workers that are waiting, liquidations, some are on strike for many years. There's mines that are stopped and held on hold, which means in the case of reinitiating jobs, in the case of Dasco, we need to help that region to reactivate the economy and to see what happened with the video commission in Sonora, but overall to see what was done, if they made the plants, the um, the treatment plants for water. How is the water? Is it good now? What effects? How is it damaged? How is the health affected? All these things, and with lots of seriousness. This includes to take the bodies out of the miners, all of it. We've got a whole plan, a table, where we're trying to have the businessmen and the workers, and of course, all the institutions from the federal government. And we're working on that. The people of these towns that went to this table, yes, anybody who needs to be consulted needs to participate. Looking via dialogue and to come to an agreement in general. Anything that has to do with mining. Of course, it's clear that it's not the same. We're not going to be giving them concessions back and forth like they used to and like they did in the neoliberal period. No, that's not going to happen. I used to comment that from General Cardenas, he gave 18 million hectareas to a million people. 18 million, that's how much he gave out of land at that time, to the benefit of a million. Felipe Calderon gave 26 million hectares for exploitation of mines to companies, particular companies from other foreign countries. And how much is the superficial? So 1 6-year term, they wound up with 40 million hectares of land. So how much in reality are they exploiting? None. Very little. 40 million hectares. They wouldn't even be able to finish it in 1,000 generations. Why so much? due to speculation for money, for the titles, and to business in the financial zone. It's a little bit of what happened in the 19th century of Manos Muertas. Because on top of the rights that they were paying, they were very little before. 4 years ago, they didn't even pay. They weren't even paying taxes on the extraction of the minerals. That's incredible. For our movement, not to be, showing off, because we're not doing it as if we started here. With resistant supports. But our movement was in charge, made sure that they paid taxes, these mining companies. Not the same, not like what they pay in Canada, but they did. They have to pay taxes, because since Salinas, they used to condone it, the taxes for they didn't do it anywhere else in the world but here. So they would just forgive the taxes. So those are the new rules. But also we're not going to cancel deals. We're not trying to close the mines that are already producing. We want to have jobs. I go to the towns. I just went to Parral not too long ago, and they demand from the people is the sense that that there was a mine getting closed, and it was affecting them a lot because they had no work. A mine for sure. From Grupo Calzo. And I did a call out to San Carlos Slim so he could make sure and not close that mine. I think I was listened to in that sense, because the same people were asking that there be fountains of work. So we have to look for the equilibrium. And that's why I believe that everything can be that it's sustainable development, and taking care of environment and nature. There's been a lot of shootings. What information do you have regarding what's happening in the state and how they're coordinating the federations and government states in this matter and other matters with the governor of Sonora and related to violence? All the time we're dealing with these matters, and I'm going to ask Alfonso Durazo to inform regarding the situation in Sonora. He has all the information with lots of objectivity to what's happening in Sonora. So they have a question for the concierge regarding what happened in Texas. Will the government strengthen their posture or position regarding negotiations with the migratory matter, because the U.S. stopped using their hate, but not just to say it in a diplomatic way, but make it be part of the negotiations that are in order, that they change their discourse of hate against Mexicans. Yes, I did signal that, and I've explained it in a very clear way. What Mexico is trying to rectify the acts it's going to have lots of implications that are going to be dealt with in the next few days, and the action that the government is going to deal with against arms in the U.S. What I can say is we would not mind sharing in a diplomatic way once we have the agreement with the fiscal and the implications that this has. The most important thing is that we do not consider it the nature of the events is this, but we consider it a part of the whole matter. We don't think it's just a singled out incident, but we want the most effective road or route. Do you fear more situations like that in the U.S.? Yes, we said to the FBI, and we have the complete version that he considers, or he considered, I believe he maintains that the principal risk for Northern American, Mexicans, and other nationalities, and the Hispanics in the U.S. are the white supremacists and their net in the U.S. And for that reason, Mexico is considering this act of terrorism, and we want to participate in the investigations to see who's involved, so that we can go to the principal to try to stop events like this happening again of this nature. There's always a possibility that there might have been other participants, but that there's a web of they have a net on the internet, a circle that you can see of supremacists. Okay, this is for the president.
Señor presidente, David Noriega, Vice News, aquí desde Los Ángeles. Una pregunta sobre el tema migratorio.
Regarding the migratory matter, you've said in several times that you want to prevent any tragedies like this, but the focus seems the strategy. So he's saying that he believes that the migratory politics are generating the same acts that, like the military acts. No, I don't desire it. Maybe our adversaries would like that. But we're procuring to resolve the migratory phenomenon by first attending to the causes that may have, that there be jobs in their lands of origin for the immigrants, and that the people not feel obligated to migrate. That's what we're doing. And to protect the migrants, making sure that we protect them, that their rights not be violated. Very contrary, for example, from that point of view, is what we sustain, that for us it's much better to gain the regularization of the entrance of migrants to Mexico in the south border, because there's less risks, because there's less gangs, crime gangs from organized crime, That doesn't mean there's not violence, but it's not the same thing.
la frontera
From the borders,
de Campeche,
from Campeche,
de
the
Tabasco, de Chiapas,
Tabasco and Chiapas,
que la frontera
where the border is
en Tamaulipas,
in Tamaulipas,
en Coahuila,
in Coahuila,
en Chihuahua,
and in Chihuahua,
en Baja California.
Baja California.
Entonces, estamos atendiendo
So we're attending
fronteras.
to the two borders.
Tengo el informe
I have the
de que
information
muchos migrantes
that many migrants
están siendo atendidos
are being
y se están
attended to,
incorporando a las actividades productivas en
and they're incorporating productive activities in Mexico, in the south and the
México.
north,
Y cuidarlos,
and to take care of them
protegerlos.
and to protect them.
Hemos tenido,
We've had,
afortunadamente,
fortunately,
muy pocas desgracias que lamentar.
very few things to,
Estamos hablando de
to
movimiento de flujo migratorio
even though there was,
como nunca se había visto en los últimos
with this
tiempos.
influx of migration, they've had very little loss of life or situations.
Se
I would
analizara
like for them to analyze the
en su
problem
conjunto y de manera estructural,
from a
de fondo.
structural point of foundation.
Incluso las organizaciones no
Even the
gubernamentales,
governmental
los
agencies,
que defienden
the
a
ones that are
migrantes,
defending the
los que defienden los
migrants,
derechos humanos,
the ones that defend human rights,
tuviesen una visión
they should have a vision
integral,
that's integral.
análisis de las causas.
Analyze the causes.
Quisiera yo
I would like
que estas organizaciones
that these organizations would
condenando el modelo neoliberal,
condemn the neoliberal model
condenando la política de pillaje,
and condemn the politics of thievery,
condenando el abandono,
condemning the abandonment of the people,
analizando lo que
and
está sucediendo en
analyzing what's
Centroamérica.
happening in Central America.
¿Cuántos estudios
How many studies
sobre
are
la
there
realidad de Centroamérica?
over the realities of Central America?
¿Qué se conoce
What do you know of it
sobre lo que está sucediendo en
over
Honduras?
what's happening in Honduras?
La gravedad de la
The
crisis.
graveness of the
¿Se
crisis.
habla acaso de que la mitad
Do
de
they
los
speak
migrantes
that half of the migrants
son hondureños?
are from Honduras?
Y se preguntan
And do you
que
ask
por qué
why?
se atiende eso.
Why were, if you attend that,
Entonces, sí me gustaría
yes, I would like that.
que se fuese al fondo
That you get to the bottom
del asunto
of the matter
y que no nos confundan.
and not to be
Nosotros no
confused.
somos represores,
We're not repressors.
no somos conservadores,
We're not conservatives.
no somos de derecha,
We're not on the right.
no sostenemos
We do not sustain that the social problems
con medidas
will
coercitivas.
be controlled with
Nosotros
forcitive
sostenemos que la paz y la
problems.
tranquilidad
We
son
believe in
frutos de la justicia.
peace and tranquility are fruits
Esa es
of justice.
nuestra filosofía,
That's our
nuestra
philosophy.
doctrina.
That's our doctrine.
Entonces,
So
todo lo que
therefore,
estamos haciendo
everything that we are doing is to protect
a los migrantes.
the migrants.
Fíjense,
Imagine this.
no hemos nosotros culpado
We have not blamed
a otros países,
other countries,
a otros gobiernos.
other governments.
Lo que estamos haciendo es ayudando
What we are doing is helping
a otros países,
other
a
countries,
otros gobiernos,
other governments,
para
in order to
atender el problema.
attend to the problem.
Y
And
aquí hemos hablado
and here we've spoken of
siempre también
other times
de
as well,
la otra cara de la moneda,
the other side of the coin,
grupos conservadores,
conservative groups,
porque los extremos se tocan,
because the extremes are touched
hablando de que no deberíamos de apoyar a los migrantes,
when they say we shouldn't support the migrants,
también queriendo promover la xenofobia en nuestro país.
and trying to promote xenophobia in our country.
A todo eso le hemos cerrado el paso.
And of course, we've closed the door to all of that
Es solidario, fraterno.
because Mexico, as I place of solidarity and fraternity.
Sí, estamos
And yes,
muy
always,
cuidadosos. Hoy
we are
más,
very cautious,
precisamente
precisely
porque sabemos
because we know
de que nuestros adversarios,
that our
conservadores,
adversaries, the conservatives,
aunque a veces se disfrazan de radicales,
even though sometimes they clothe,
defensores de derechos humanos, son en
um,
realidad muy conservadores,
hide
muy
themselves in
partidarios
conservative
de
suits
mantener el statu quo.
to maintain
Se
the status
dedican
quo, and they
no a
dedicate
transformar
themselves
la
not to
realidad,
transform the reality,
sino a analizar la
but
realidad
to analyze the
y
reality
administrar
and administer
los dolores
the
y las
pain
desgracias
and the disgraces
y los conflictos
and the conflicts
de los sistemas autoritarios.
with the
Esa es una de las
authoritarian
peculiaridades de la
systems.
llamada
That's
sociedad
one
civil.
of the behaviors of the so-called
Parte
civil
de la sociedad
behavior,
civil
social civil
en nuestros tiempos
of our
es el
times
conservadurismo.
is conservatism.
Haga un análisis de
Do an
cuáles son
analysis
las
of it.
organizaciones
What
de
is
sociedad
the
civil
conventions of the social
y van a
service?
estar todas vinculadas
And they're all going to be
a
headed
los
towards
potentados.
to the
¿Se considera que el
rich
control de los
people
flujos
in power.
migratorios es fundamentalmente una cuestión administrativa
So
civil
do
o
you
una
think
cuestión
that's
militar
a
y de seguridad pública?
actually a
Es un asunto
situation?
legal. Está en nuestras leyes.
It's within our laws,
Está en las leyes de cualquier país del mundo.
and it's in the laws of any country
Si
in the
usted
world.
va a
If you were to
cualquier
go
país,
to any
tiene
country,
que registrarse.
you need to register
Eso está en
yourself.
nuestras leyes.
That's in our laws,
Y eso es lo que estamos haciendo.
and that's what we're doing.
Nada más.
That's
Es
all.
un asunto legal.
It's a
Y al
legal
mismo
matter,
tiempo,
and at the same
pues,
time,
es un asunto
it's a matter of
social
social,
y humano.
humane.
Entonces estamos buscando la
So we're
manera
looking for the way
de resolver
to resolve
el fenómeno migratorio
the
que corresponde a
migratory
nosotros
phenomenon
de la
where it
mejor forma
relates to
posible.
us
Y
in
lo
the
hemos
best
logrado.
possible form, and we've gained it.
Hemos,
We're able to do it,
logrado bastante bien,
and we've done it very
sin
well
aspavientos,
without
sin rasgarnos las vestiduras,
without tearing off our clothes,
con seriedad y con responsabilidad. Y ahí
with
vamos.
responsibility and seriousness.
Vamos allá.
Hola, presidente. Buenos días. Gaspar Vela, de Grupo Radio Centro. Ayer el Coneval dio a conocer que en México hay 52.4 millones de personas pobres en su informe. Me gustaría saber qué cifra de personas en situación de pobreza se compromete usted a dejar una vez que termine el sexenio.
So right now they're saying there's 52 million impoverished people. So how are you going to help? And then what about the trafficking of arms from the U.S. to Mexico to try and reduce that?
Bueno, no he visto el reporte.
No, I haven't seen that report,
completo.
complete report
Coneval, lo voy a
from
revisar.
Conevat, and I will be
Lo
looking
que
that
sí le
over.
puedo decir,
What I can tell you is that
de los números,
regarding the numbers,
es que el objetivo del
is
gobierno
that the objective of the government, the principal objective,
es combatir la pobreza.
to combat poverty.
Son dos cosas
There's two matters,
como estrategia
like strategies
del gobierno.
of the government. First,
Acabar con la corrupción
to end corruption,
y al mismo tiempo
and at the same time,
sacar de la pobreza.
take them out of poverty, our people.
Y están relacionadas las dos
And they are related, these two
cosas,
things,
porque,
because
hay pobreza
there's poverty
por la corrupción.
due to corruption.
La corrupción política
The corrupt politics
la causa
is the cause,
principal
principal cause
de la desigualdad económica y
of
social.
economical inequality in Mexico.
Por eso estoy escribiendo el
And
libro
that's why I'm writing this book
de la economía moral.
regarding moral
¿Qué
economy.
entienden los tecnócratas?
This is something that the technocrats don't understand. But the principal problem of Mexico is the corruption, and it has taken them to inequality that's monstrous, that is affecting, and the poverty and insecurity and violence. And that's why my insistence on ending corruption. And I'm not going to call it anymore. I didn't know. You know that some ideas are, they're not all new ideas in the study of history of humanity. It's always been dealt with. And yesterday I found out of a book that's called that, Economía Moral, from an economist in the U.S. They pointed it out to me, but now I can't name it that book. That's what happened to me 20 years ago. I made a book. I wrote a book, Entre el Estudio y la Esperanza, but it was different. The one that was the president of the United States, Clinton, did a book afterwards that he called, and he did between hope and history. So now help me out. The idea is that economy, moral economy, how the neoliberals do not take into account variables that are very important, such as well-being or health. How come they don't take into account, or it was never important to them, these neoliberals, the problem of corruption? Or did you guys find out that corruption for them was a problem? No, never. They even encouraged it. So now I'm thinking of a new name. I kind of would like to name it laboralización, laborization of economy, something like that. Or I could make it negative, economy immoral. That's another matter. But that's on the negative side. What is more positive is what we are doing, what our people, how without corruption, without superfluous expenses, with a legal, authentic state of law, with fraternity, you can create a better society like our people. So that's what we're working on. What about a reduction in? No, there is no number. We're going to work. We're going to wait. And I can prove is that never have the poor have they received so much as they are getting now. Around 300,000 million pesos for civil programs, like never before. So this has to give good
como
results,
nunca
like never
le va a
before,
gustar
even if
sus adversarios.
our adversaries don't like it.
Aumentó el salario mínimo
The minimum wage went up
este año.
this year.
Les hablaba yo de
That I used to talk
el
about
promedio de
that
salario
the
de los
medium
registrados
salary was the
en el Seguro Social
of the registered people was
está arriba
is high
y es superior
and is superior
al promedio de otros años.
to the median of other years.
El salario
The salary
promedio.
or the median
Y otros datos.
and other data,
Porque
because
los nostálgicos
the nostalgic of the neoliberals
siguen hablando
continue to talk of the growth,
escaso, limitado.
limited.
Nada más ven eso.
That's all they
No
see.
ven otras cosas.
They don't see
Fíjense
other things.
ahora
See now
eh, hay estas diferencias, estas disputas
that we're having these disputes and these
en lo comercial
in the commercial area
dos grandes economías,
between the two great economies,
Estados Unidos y China.
United States and China, that they represent 35% of the economy of the world,
Acariciando.
and they're caressing each other.
Se están confrontando un poquito.
They're confronting a little bit.
Em, nuestro peso,
Our weight,
llevábamos en primer lugar
we were in
en
first,
apreciación de nuestra moneda en el mundo.
we were the highest in appreciation of our country. But with this,
Bajaron
now they lowered it
Japón,
in Japan.
el yen,
The yen,
se fortaleció.
it got stronger.
En Asia solo esa moneda. Todo lo demás.
But
se cayó.
everything else went lower.
Quedamos nosotros en segundo.
So now we're in second place.
Todavía.
But still second place.
Sitio. Y
And
estamos resistiendo.
we're resisting
Porque
because
fue fuerte lo de ayer.
it was strong what happened yesterday.
Empezó el jueves
What started Thursday
con estas medidas arancelarias.
with these
Contra
tariffs,
China.
now with
Ojalá
tariffs.
haga un llamado
And suppose that I will make a call
se
out
dialogue.
that they dialogue.
No beneficia a nadie la
It
guerra
doesn't
comercial.
benefit anybody, this commercial war.
Esto afecta a la economía
This
mundial.
affects the world
Se tiene
economy.
que buscar el arreglo, la conciliación.
And we need to look for the agreement and
Porque
reconciliation.
no es solo
Because it's not just
las diferencias
the
entre
differences between
Estados Unidos y
the
China,
United States
las
and
dos
China,
principales economías del mundo,
the two principal economies of the world, but it's also
pasan a afectar
they affect
al resto
the
de las
rest
economías.
of the economies.
Y desde luego
And of course,
a la economía
the economy
mundial.
of the world.
Entonces, nosotros estamos resistiendo
We're resisting,
y esperemos que
and we ask you to soon
se convoque
you
para que haya un acuerdo en torno a la
request that there be
arancelaria
encourage that there be a
que
m-
no
agreement
afecte divisas,
that not affect
no
divisiveness,
afecte la economía en su
that not
conjunto.
affect economy in
Eso
conjunction.
es lo que estamos haciendo.
That's
Y
what we're
también,
doing. And also,
es importante
it's important
que se haga el recuento,
that you make an
se
accounting
analice
and you analyze
de cómo en vez de
how instead
ir a
of
la confrontación
going to
cuando había la
confrontation
amenaza de los aranceles,
when they threatened
contra de
the
México,
tariffs against
se
Mexico,
buscó el acuerdo.
we looked for an agreement.
Este señor, el secretario,
This man, the
Relaciones
secretary,
Exteriores,
Mr.
una
Abraham,
comisión, hicieron un trabajo
he did an
excepcional
exceptional
de
job,
primera
first rate,
Porque si
Because
por aranceles se están
if we had
generando
tariffs generated,
estos desequilibrios en el
these
mercado
inequilibriums
financiero
in
mundial,
the
es Estados Unidos, China, imagínense
business world,
una
imagine
confrontación de aranceles
what would happen with a confrontation of tariffs from the U.S. and Mexico.
eso no conviene.
That would not be
Entonces,
convenient.
por eso celebro mucho
So that's why I
que se haya
celebrate very
logrado un
much
acuerdo,
that they came to an
que se está
agreement,
cumpliendo,
that
y
they're
celebro
complying with it. And
el
I
que se haya
celebrate
optado por
also
mantener una
that they
política de
opted
respeto
for a
con el
respectful
gobierno de
politics
Estados Unidos
with the United
y de
States
cooperación.
and cooperation.
Porque cuando
Because
se
when
está
they are
dirigentes de un partido,
from a party,
cuando se está sin una responsabilidad,
but if you're there without responsibility of state,
entonces se puede actuar de
then
otra
you
manera.
connect a different way.
Pero un jefe de Estado, un jefe de
But a
nación
chief
tiene que
of
actuar
state or nation has to behave
responsabilidad,
with responsibility
con prudencia
and with prudence
y hacer lo que más conviene.
and do what is most convenient for the general interest.
Entonces salimos bien
So we came out well from this
difícil momento
difficult
y
moment.
esto nos ha estado ayudando.
And this
Y
has
ahora
been
lo que
helping
espero
us. And
hacia
now what I'm
adelante
waiting for is
es que se apruebe el
that
tratado
they approve the treaty
en Estados Unidos
in the U.S.
y hay condiciones para eso.
And there's now conditions for that, and it's convenient for us that they approve the treaty
De comercio con
of
Estados
free
Unidos y
commercial
Canadá, y vamos
commerce with the
bien.
U.S. and Canada. And we're doing well.
Y hay buen ambiente y creo que
And there's a
pronto
good environment.
se va
And
a firmar
soon, I believe, we'll come to an agreement with that,
Estados Unidos.
with the U.S.
Sobre el tema del tráfico de armas y
Regarding
esta
the
iniciativa, presidente, ¿qué tan concluido para que
illicit
no se
crimes and
haya reducido
a
todavía
gun
esta incidencia delictiva en el país?
armaments being transported?
Algo que influye, pero
Yes,
no es lo único.
that is something that
¿En qué
influences,
porcentaje
but
más o
it's
menos
not
se
everything.
movería esta situación?
So what would you say about
Pues
this
sí,
situation?
influye porque,
Yes, it's influence,
la violencia
but
en México,
violence in Mexico,
sobre todo lo que tiene que ver con homicidios,
especially what has to do with
está
homicides,
relacionado
is
con la
related
existencia
to with the
de
existence
la
of
llamada
the
delincuencia
delinquency
organizada
of
de las
or
bandas.
organized
Y,
crime
Estas bandas
gangs,
pues, utilizan
and these
armas
gangs utilize arms
eh, alto calibre
of high
ilegales que entran
caliber that are illegal,
de contrabando al
and they
país.
enter as
Entonces, sí,
contraband in the
hay una
country.
influencia.
And yes, there is an
Todo este
influence.
tema de las armas, Marcelo,
So all these matters of the arms
tratando,
that Marcelo is treating or
incluso
dealing with,
aquí lo dijiste, ¿no?
and
La
he
vez
even
pasada,
said it here
antes de
last
estos
time,
lamentables hechos,
that before
ya se
these
había
lamentable
dado
acts,
esta situación.
in this situation,
Yo solo
I just
comentarles
comment
que también
that
aprovechar
and take the advantage of the opportunity
ir refrescando
to refresh
la memoria,
the memories
que a veces se produce
that sometimes
una especie de amnesia.
you get some kind of an amnesia.
Nosotros no hemos permitido,
We have not permitted the entrance of arms.
no hemos dado consentimiento
We have not given
para que
consent
entren armas.
for arms to come in.
No aceptamos ningún
We do not accept
operativo
any operative
que implique
that implicates the entering of arms from
from
the U.S. to
como
Mexico,
sucedió
like they did before
en los tiempos
in the
del
past
neoliberalismo,
with the neoliberal
como
period,
el antiguo régimen,
with the previous
los
regimen,
gobiernos anteriores.
with the previous governments. No,
No hay acuerdos.
we have no
bajo la
agreements
mesa.
under the table.
Ayer lo mencionaba yo
Yesterday I
en
mentioned
Valle de
it
Bravo,
in Media Bravo
que
that
este tema, siendo nosotros muy respetuosos
that we need to be
de la
very
independencia
respectful of the independence
el país vecino,
of our neighbor country,
el gobierno estadounidense,
the United States government,
no lo han tratado
but
bien,
they have not dealt with this
con todo
right
respeto,
with all respect.
ni republicanos ni
Neither
demócratas.
Republicans nor Democrats.
Esa mala experiencia que tenemos nosotros
That bad experience
del
that we have
operativo
of
rápido
this operative
y furioso
that's rapid and furious
se presentó
presented
cuando
itself,
estaban en el gobierno de Estados Unidos
and it was in the U.S.
los
government,
que ahora son opositores.
those that are now opposers.
Entonces, hay que ver las cosas con mucha objetividad.
So let's look at things with a lot of objectivity.
No inmiscuirnos porque también
And let's not get mixed together
siempre se
or
busca
confused with each other,
que
because they
tomemos
always
partido
try to make us
en
take part in
otros países.
other countries.
Por eso es sabio
And that's why it's wise
lo que decía
what
el presidente Juárez, que todavía
Presidente
gobierna con su
Juárez
gente.
used to say, by,
Respeto al derecho ajeno es la paz
he said, the respect for
y la no intervención, la
Mm,
autodeterminación de los pueblos.
to self-determination or not getting involved in other countries and not
Sobre
give
otros
opinions
países, a condenar lo que
or to
sucede en otros
condemn what's
países.
happening in other countries.
Pues es una
He
política
says because it's a
Está
politic that is
definida en nuestra Constitución
defined in our Constitution
que ha resultado
that has resulted
eficaz,
effective.
además, está pegada a principios
And it's
históricos.
also connected with principles, historical
En el caso
principles.
de las armas, para
So
hacer-
regarding the
puede
arms,
tratar el asunto.
Abrad can deal with that matter.
Con su permiso, señor presidente. Bueno, como ustedes saben,
Well, like you know,
planteamos al
we
secretario de Estado
we have told Secretary of
la
State or
preocupación
asked them
con respecto
that regarding the
a las armas,
preoccupation regarding
y se
arms
acordó
of
que
Mexico.
tenía una operación
And they
por parte
said
de las
that
autoridades
there's an
norteamericanas
operation of North
de
American
Estados Unidos y las
companies in the
autoridades
U.S.
mexicanas en nuestro territorio,
and that
que
some
sí
in our
consta
territory.
Tijuana,
Tijuana,
que vendría siendo Tijuana Santiago, desde luego Ciudad Juárez El Paso, desde luego
Ciudad Juárez,
Reynosa,
El Paso,
Matamoros,
Matamoros, Reynosa,
Laredo y Nuevo Laredo.
and
Entonces,
Nebonato.
Eso ya está acordado y para nosotros
So,
es una prioridad. ¿Por qué es una prioridad?
Why is this a priority for us, for Mexico?
Bueno, el Gabinete de Seguridad nos instruyó a la Secretaría de Relaciones Exteriores de plantear esto.
That
Se considera que hay
they,
tres
they
elementos determinantes, uno son armas,
there's
otros
some are
capacidad de
arms,
reclutamiento, y
a
otros
recruiting,
capacidad de financiamiento,
and financing,
utilidades.
or utilization or disposition.
Para el caso de la capacidad de reclutamiento, hay una
In the
serie de
case of
programas y
recruitment,
iniciativas
they have
del gobierno
initiatives
tomado de gran alcance, menciono
that
Jóvenes Construyendo el Futuro, pero hay
people,
otras que tienen que ver
young people
incluso
creating
con
life
la
and
propia
future,
frontera,
and on the borders,
impuestos y otras.
and something reduction of taxes.
Para el asunto
There's other
de los recursos,
incentives,
también hay otras
and
iniciativas
also
que han
regarding
participado en la unidad
resources
financiera.
and
Y para el
finances.
caso de las armas,
And in the case of the
informe que
arms,
tenemos y que se
information we
presenta
have and
es
that
que más
presents
del
itself
70%
is that more
de
than
las armas
70% of the
provienen
arms are
son de
coming
fabricación norteamericana.
from the
Por lo
North
tanto, sí
Americans.
es sumamente relevante
So it's
utilizar,
very
reducir
relatively
y controlar
to
ese
control
tráfico de armas hacia México.
the trafficking
Cada
of
arma que
arms
pasa a México
with
puede ser
through
autora
yes to
o
Mexico,
participar
and to
en
participate,
homicidio o más.
or that
Por eso es
these things are
vamos a
causing
seguir
homicide,
insistiendo en eso.
and we're
Y
going to
ustedes lo
continue to
notarán
insist on
en
that
nuestra nota diplomática, lo volveremos
in
a
our
poner ahí, y va a ser
diplomatic note,
todo
and
el tiempo
it will be
insistencia de México.
all the time the insistence of Mexico.
Bueno, dos más, ¿no?
2 more, and then we're done.
Ahora, me voy a ir a,
Because I have to go.
¿eh? A ver, vamos a lo del deporte.
So regarding
El deporte,
sports.
¿quién dijo? A ver, adelante.
Gracias, buenos días a todos. Presidente, le quiero preguntar, este anuncio que hace de otorgar estos recursos a los atletas, ¿significa que va a desaparecer el fideicomiso FODEPAR, que ya no van a recibir el dinero que actualmente reciben a través de este fideicomiso, o además de lo que ya reciben por FODEPAR, van a recibir los recursos que usted acaba de anunciar? En ese sentido, también preguntarle
So she's asking if they're going to be doing away with Fodepar, which is the place that is being used for, like their expenses, or are they going to be able to pay for their own trips, their
que ya no tiene para operar el resto del año. Entonces, más allá de que los muchachos puedan tener becas y dinero para lo que ellos necesiten, se necesitan otros
so
recursos.
they're saying that there's other resources that are necessary for them to run their programs and operations.
En esta entrega de recursos,
And when you're giving these resources, are you considering the Tokyo Olympics? And when the monies you're giving out is,
por ejemplo, atletas que no van a ir a participar en Tokio porque sus deportes no son olímpicos, pueden incluso estar recibiendo más dinero que los que sí van a participar. Le pongo, por ejemplo, el caso de Paola Longoria. Paola Longoria es raquetbolista. Ella recibe actualmente una beca de 60,000 pesos a través del FODEPAR. Además de esos 60,000, va a recibir sus 240,000. Ella está programada para ganar 3 medallas de oro. Eso significa que usted le tendría que dar adicionalmente 120,000 pesos mensuales. Entonces el monto está muy disparado. Ella no va a Juegos Olímpicos porque su deporte no es olímpico. Briseida Costa, sin embargo, peleará por ir a Juegos Olímpicos. Acaba de ganar el oro panamericano.
so they're saying that there's a disparity of like the ones that actually go to the games and the ones that don't get to go to the games. So
40,000 mensuales que le van a tocar por la beca. O sea, me podría un poquito detallar
yeah,
cómo va a ser.
so she's asking for details.
Si no, algunos son capaces de decir, se terminan las becas.
So someone might say that the grants end for the stimulus program,
Que ya existe,
which already
y
exists,
ahora se sustituye
and they're substituting it with these,
lo que se va a recibir de
what
la
they're
venta
going to
de la
receive from the
casa
sale of the home.
de el ciudadano chino-mexicano. Pues es importante
No,
aclarar
this
eso.
is important to
Los
clarify
programas
this.
continúan.
The programs will continue.
Adicional.
This is additional.
Eso quiero que quede claro.
That's what I want to be very clear.
Sigue el mismo sistema de
They'll have
apoyo
the same system
a
of support
atletas,
to
sus
athletes,
becas,
their grants,
todo lo que reciben.
what they're already receiving.
Si la CONADE
But if CONADE requires more budget, they'll have it
prioritario de
because
deportes.
it's priority. That's a priority to have sports.
Y si por sacar más medallas
But if they get more medals,
tienen más estímulos,
they should have more
yo
stimulus.
no le veo problema.
I don't see a problem with that.
No veo ningún problema.
I see no problem with that.
Aquí lo importante
Here,
es que
what is
esta casa
important is that this home,
que se recuperó,
which was recovered,
ahora sí,
let's say,
y que cuesta unos 100 millones,
and that is valued at about 100 million,
150,
and if it were sold at 150,
vamos a apoyar a
and with that we would support the 544 sports people.
Eso es lo más importante.
That's the most important
Ya vamos a
thing,
afinar,
and we'll fine tune it
sean
so that it will be
justos
just
los apoyos.
the supports
En general,
in general.
vamos repartiendo de
We'll be
544,
we'll be dividing it 20,000 a month,
y además darles,
and on top of that,
un adicional
an
a los
additional
que tienen medallas.
incentive to the ones that get medals, and that's going to be for a year.
Si hablamos nada más de los
And if we speak only of the 544,
son alrededor de 150
there's
millones.
150 million
Ese es el
pesos.
plan.
That's a plan.
¿De qué monto sería la ampliación presupuestal para CONADE?
So what would be the increase for CONAVE?
Tenemos que ver
So we'll have to look at that. So the people that are in charge of that,
cuánto
to see how much is required.
miren,
Look,
yo tengo como
we have
experiencia
from experience that
buen desempeño en el gobierno no
that
depende necesariamente
does not depend necessarily on the budget that is managed.
y es claro
That of course is clear.
cuánto manejaba
How did they manage?
presupuesto de
How
la
much
Secretaría de
did they
Comunicaciones y Transportes el año
How much were they managing last year,
en el sexenio.
or the 6 years?
Y los beneficios
And the benefits,
que hubieron.
that there were very little,
Porque
because
imperaba la corrupción.
corruption was
El problema
reigning.
en México no es el presupuesto.
The problem in Mexico is not the
El
budget.
problema de las secretarías, de la
The
CONADE, no es el
problem is
presupuesto.
not with the secretaries, it's not the budget.
La corrupción.
The problem is the corruption, the black hand in the funds.
Entonces, no les va a faltar.
So no, they're not gonna be missing any of the necessary things. We don't know how much yet, but
No se van a quedar
they're not gonna be left
sin recursos.
without
Presidente,
resources.
¿y está considerando, por ejemplo,
And are you
parte de esos
considering
recursos,
that
destinarlos
part of
en el
those
laboratorio
resources
que acaba de anunciar que ya cerró?
that
Sí, puede ser.
part of it
No,
is
esto no.
closed?
Esto es directo para
No,
los-
this is
No, ya,
directly.
es un presupuesto
Ah,
para
sí,
la CONADE,
claro,
o sea, que se
todo.
pueda salvar el laboratorio.
Oh, so they're gonna try to save the laboratory? Yes, whatever is required.
Si tiene algún avance,
Imagínense, ¿quiénes estaban antes?
Who was there before in that place?
del director de la CONADE,
No, el que estuvo de comisionado en Misiones.
Who used to be commissioned? Alfredo Castillo.
Bueno, ya.
no, nada más decirle si tiene algún avance de la investigación que está
Ya
haciendo
ve que yo sí les
la
pido,
función
por
pública.
favor, con todo respeto.
Yes, please,
No nos
with all
comparen.
respect, don't compare us.
O sea, es que eso calienta.
That makes me angry.
O sea,
It hits my head
quieren
when you
medir con
compare me with
la misma vara.
the same
Ahora
stick.
sacaron de
Like
que
they said that
aquí en Presidencia
that here in Presidencia
vamos a comprar,
that I
chorizos de no
that
sé
I bought
cuánto dinero.
chorizo for how much
Yo
money?
no como
He
chorizos,
says
pero
I don't
con
even
todo
eat
respeto, o sea,
chorizos. I'm respectful,
creo
but
que es un alimento
I think it's
muy bueno,
it's
o sea,
a good
extraordinario.
food that's extraordinary, but
Yo soy más de la butifarra de allá de Jalpa.
but I'm from a different area. I eat jalpa,
Y tampoco
and
me
also
gusta la
I don't like
moronga
moronga,
azul.
the blue one.
No soy de la moronga azul.
I'm not from the moronga
Entonces,
azul either.
no nos confundan.
Don't confuse us.
Ustedes también,
Yesterday I said also
en Reforma,
from Reforma
de que una empresa de
that a company
las hijas
that their daughters
funcionarios,
of the functionaries of Pemex,
a ver, ¿cuál es ahí el problema?
what's
Nosotros no
the
vamos a
problem there?
permitir
We're not going to
que
permit
nadie
that
haga
anybody
negocios
do any businesses
al amparo del poder público.
that are going to be paid for by the
En caso de Reforma,
people.
con todo respeto,
but the man from Reforma,
que
el
no
señor
me
Hugo,
confunda, no
don't
soy
confuse
Salinas.
me. I'm not Salinas.
Porque eso sí calienta.
Because that does make him angry.
Entonces, esto es lo del deporte.
So
No
this
se va a
thing
dejar
about
de
sports,
apoyar,
we will not stop supporting
al deporte, ni a la
sports,
cultura,
nor
ni al
culture,
cine,
nor theater,
y mucho menos
not anything
a
like
los
that.
pobres.
For the poor,
Esos son
these are
los predilectos
the predilected, or the
de
predilect.
todos, primero los pobres.
First, the poor.
Son los cambios
Those are the changes
que se están llevando
that
a
we're
cabo.
taking forth.
Y este apoyo es
And this support
importante
is very
porque,
important
insisto,
because I insist
lo que hacen los deportistas
that what the sports people do, I'm
es por el esfuerzo
well
de
aware
ellos,
it's due
de sus
to their
familiares.
some members of their family efforts.
Antes
Before,
hasta hacían,
they even used to
boteaban para tener recursos y poder ir
so they
a
used to like
participar.
do kind of like get grants in order to be able to get the recourses.
Entonces, ahora
So now
se les va a dar este apoyo.
that they're going to be giving them these funds,
Lo más importante
and
es
the
que,
most important thing is
ojalá
hopefully
una empresa
that a company
compre
will
la
help
casa.
us and buy this house.
Además,
And
no
besides
vale
that,
100 millones,
oh, it's
costará
not worth
todavía
100
más.
million. It actually is worth more.
Está situada donde
It's situated where
se considera
it's
que
considered to be the
hay más valor por metro
the highest
cuadrado.
value per square meter, most exclusive areas of Mexico,
Donde está ubicada la casa.
where this
Son 100
house is.
millones, es el avalúo de inicio.
That 100 million is
Subasta, en todo lo que hemos
initial
subastado,
evaluation,
siempre es 25,
but it's always
50%
25
más.
to 50%
En este
more.
caso, lo que queremos
In
es
this case,
que lleguemos a los
we're hoping
150
for the
con eso
150 so that we can have enough
para
for the
estos estímulos a
stimulus
todos los
for the
deportistas.
sports people.
Y a lo mejor
And maybe
participan,
they might participate.
puede ser que ya desde ahora que
And then
están
as of
escuchando,
now
están
that they're listening, they'll start thinking
de que nos van a ayudar,
that they're going to help
vamos a
us,
dar a conocer también aquí
and we're going to let them know here who bought it,
la casa,
this home.
porque
Because
aparte
besides that,
de que es un bien público,
that it's a public
pues también va a tener un
fund,
precio
it also is
adicional
going to have an additional price
por la participación
for the
de
participation
quien la quiera
of whoever wants it,
para el beneficio del
and
deporte.
for the beneficiary of the people and the sports.
Terminamos.
So we end.
Vamos a dejarla a ver, al decano. A ver, Razo. Ya.
One more person.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Ciertamente,
Certainly,
la
the
actitud
attitude
de su
of your
gobierno
government
norteamericanos frente al
towards
señor
the
Trump,
North American and
ha
Trump
sido en pos de la conciliación,
has
en pos
been
del,
a like
trato
position of
dialogado,
dialogue
lo
and
más suave
conciliation sought,
posible. Pero
but
ya José Rogelio Álvarez, el creador de la Enciclopedia de México,
from the Encyclopedia of
totalmente
Mexico
académico de la lengua,
and the
señalaba
academic of
que
the law
México tiene
signals
dos
that
grandes problemas en su
Mexico
historia,
has
la Iglesia
two
y los
big
Estados
problems
Unidos de México. Y que poco,
problems in
muy poco
in Mexico.
atención se
One of
presta
them
a
is
semejantes temas,
church
incidiendo
and the
tanto
U.S.
como lo hacen en la vida nacional. Pero aparte de José Rogelio Álvarez, un embajador emérito,
But in
más de 40
another
años de la
ambassador
exterior
40 years
mexicana,
ago,
asesor, por cierto,
an
actual,
assessor,
del canciller Ebrard, tal como la ley lo indica, pide, solicita o sugiere
or
que tengamos
suggests
una actitud más
that we have
firme,
a
una
firmer
actitud
attitude
hasta de aguantar varas si es posible el propio término, así lo
to
el embajador
to
emérito,
to
Sergio González
tolerate
Gales,
some
con más de
abuse,
40 años de
to be
servicio
more
exterior,
strong.
subsecretario de Relaciones Exteriores, de que si acaso hubieran venido los aranceles, hubiera que aguantar vara, y que se debía tener y privilegiar en relaciones exteriores al personal más entrenado para saber lidiar con la diplomacia y los intereses norteamericanos. También elogia de paso el propio
So
embajador
they're
emérito,
saying that they
José
think they
Gales,
need to be stronger when they deal with the Americans and
el
their,
aspecto jurídico de las relaciones exteriores que ha brillado,
you know,
como lo hizo en la reciente pugna
public
cuando la amenaza de
relations.
los aranceles. Es posible ser más firme,
They
más
want us to be
consistente,
firmer, more
algo que
consistent,
llegue al corazón mismo
something
nuestro,
that'll
es decir,
touch
nos estamos
their heart,
poniendo al tú por tú con los norteamericanos,
to
hasta
be
donde se puede. Gracias, señor presidente. Gracias.
strong and two for two.
Todo lo firme que sea necesario y
All
también
as firm as
todo
as
lo
necessary,
prudente
but as
que
prudent,
exigen las circunstancias.
but that the circumstances require.
Nosotros queremos mantener una
We
muy
want to
buena relación
maintain
con
a
los
good
Estados Unidos,
relationship
al
with the
mismo
United
tiempo,
States, but at the same time
mantener nuestra
maintain
independencia,
our independence,
seguir actuando como un país libre y soberano.
to continue to act like a government that's sovereign and free,
Como como una colonia,
not like a colony,
como un protectorado.
like a protector.
México es un país libre,
Mexico is a
independiente,
country
soberano.
free and sovereign and
Tenemos que
independent.
cuidar mucho la relación.
We need to take care of this relationship with the United States very much, and in effect,
Relación
it's a relation
importante,
that's
clave.
important and key
Históricamente
historically.
está más que demostrado.
It's more than been demonstrated.
Y estamos ahora teniendo mucho cuidado
And
con
we
eso.
are now taking very much precaution regarding that. And I feel that we are doing well
Esa relación.
in this relation.
Lamentamos muchísimo
It is very sad and lamentable
que se presenten
that
estos hechos
these acts present themselves
en los que pierden la vida,
where
mexicanos
lots
y
of life for
estadounidenses.
Mexicans and U.S. citizens as well.
Pero no tenemos ningún problema
But
de
we have
conciencia,
no problem with our conscience
porque
because
nosotros
we
siempre hemos sostenido
have always sustained
que no deben de
that there should not be
medidas coercitivas,
coercitive
que no se debe usar la
measures,
fuerza,
and you should not do anything by
que no
force,
se puede
that you cannot
fomentar el odio,
encourage hate,
que no se puede asusar
that you cannot
a los pueblos
encourage the people to decline
extranjeros,
or refuse
migrantes.
migrants or strangers,
Y
foreigners.
hemos sido muy claros en
And
eso.
we've been very clear on this.
Pero no estamos como para
But we're not
estar
sitting here
diciendo, "Te lo
to
dije".
say, I told you so.
Son de esos casos
It's
en
one
los
of
que
those
duele
cases where it hurts
tener la razón.
to be in the right. It's painful.
No meternos
And not to get
en
involved
los problemas
in the problems
internos
of
de otros países.
internal relations in other
Hay procesos
countries.
electorales en
There's
Estados
electoral
Unidos,
processes
hay
in the
elecciones,
US and there's elections.
y no queremos ser
And we don't want to be
partícipes,
participants
ni mucho menos utilizados.
or being utilized or
Tenemos
used.
nuestra propia política.
We have our own politics,
Nuestra independencia.
and due to our independence and respect to our sovereignty,
Estoy muy satisfecho
and I am very satisfied
con el trabajo, el
with the
papel
paperwork and the work that was done
Marcelo Ebrard.
by Marcelo Ebrard, the Secretary of External Relationships. It helps me a lot, foreign relations.
Su
He helps me a lot with his knowledge
capacidad,
and his
su experiencia
capacity and his experience
en su manejo
in his management of
me ayuda muchísimo.
diplomatic situation.
Yo conozco la historia del país,
Because I
conozco
know
la
that
historia de las relaciones
I know the history
internacionales,
of the country and international relations
Estados Unidos,
and the relations between Mexico and United States.
el gran zarpazo,
And
desde antes.
and there's been problems as of before, and I've studied it before,
Conozco
and I'm aware
cómo ha sido nuestra relación.
how our relation has been.
Pero no puedo
But I cannot
estar en todo, además,
in the middle of
para
all
eso
of
es
it,
el secretario
and that's what the
de
secretary is
Relaciones
for
Exteriores.
foreign relations.
Y yo tengo que ocuparme también del
I need to
interno.
occupy myself with the internal matters,
Sostengo que la
and I sustain
mejor
that
política
the
exterior es
best
la interior.
politics for external politics is internal politics, is to first clean your house,
La casa,
clean your home,
porque si nos va bien
because if things go
en
well
México,
in Mexico,
nos van a respetar afuera.
they will respect us
Siempre.
outside and always.
Hay un gobierno corrupto,
When there's a government that's corrupt,
no solo le faltan el respeto los
not
de adentro,
only do they
sino también los de afuera.
disrespect them inside, they'll disrespect them outside. But if you're honest,
Se adquiere
you acquire lots of
en el
respect
ámbito internacional.
in the international areas without having to do the treaty with antagonism and without having to meet at every meeting or be participating in all the forums. That's matters for the international diplomats. Like you said, they're very good, the Mexican people. Mexican diplomats are the best there is in the world. And they're the ones that are helping in relations. And if you recall that maybe you don't know because it's dedicated to Marcelo is his specialty is precisely external politics. So for that reason, he's in charge and he's doing very well. We'll see each other tomorrow. All right, goodbye. Goodness.